Beschat, de Wert, Deutschem, Ziem, Schweiz, Pea, Shotiri, Tri, Diva, Odin, Otoverstaat, Zemli.
My name is Sergei Pavlovich Korolev. I am certain you have never heard of me. For much of my career, my very name has been a state secret. To protect me against you Americans, of course, in case you try to come kill me. But that's all right. You have shown up here somehow, so I will tell you about me. Your government probably knows it all anyway. In Soviet press, I am known only as the chief designer. But you know my work, whether you realize it or not. I am the one responsible for your space race. I launched the first Sputnik. I launched the first satellite to the moon. Landed the first spacecraft on the moon. The first to photograph the far side. The first to Venus. I put first animal in space. A dog. Poor thing. She died, of course. We had no way to bring her home. I put first man in space, first woman. I put 3 men in orbit before you could even put 2. I was dreaming of ways to go to Mars while your rockets were still blowing up on launch pad. Whatever it is in space today, I was first to do it. At the Baikonur Cosmodrome, our Cape Canaveral, you must, there is historical marker that reads, "Here, the genius of the Soviet people began the bold assault on the cosmos." I am that genius. And despite the propaganda that you may have read, I have done it despite my government, not because of it. Politicians are not poets, my friend. Do you want to know the truth? I shall tell you the truth. My ministers, they do not care about the moon, Mars, or mankind's place in the cosmos. They care only about missiles. Missiles, missiles, and more missiles to protect us against you crafty imperialist Americans. So, if I managed to piggyback a few space launches on a missile test, what can be harm in that? It might even have some propaganda value, as we say. Well, so, this is my story, and it is your story too, though it is elementary physics. One of Newton's 3 great laws. For every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. Actually, Newton did not discover the law of gravity, a Russian did. You did not know that? I just joke. Okay, I will be serious, very serious now. But first, let me make sure no one is listening. You know, they are always listening. Even on me. Maybe especially on me. Okay, let me let you in on a little secret. This is someone we can tell no one, especially you Americans. This action or reaction business in space, ever since the 1950s all through this present decade, I am the action, and your American space program, well, it is the reaction. And it has not been, for a long time, very equal. Well, yes, you may be catching up now. I've seen your Gemini program. I've heard of the Apollo program you have in the works. Your President Kennedy, God rest his soul, said he wanted to put a man on the moon. Well, so be it. I said it first. It's true. Since I was a child, I looked up at the moon rising in the east and wondered, what would it take to touch it? Even in my darkest days in Gulag, I thought about the moon. Why shouldn't I? It was always hanging there in the sky, taunting me. Oh, you did not know? Yes, I was in Gulag. Don't look so surprised. In those days, almost everyone was in Gulag. I shall tell you later. Come. I don't know how you got in. Maybe you bribed the guards. Don't tell me. I don't want to know. But now that you're here, why don't you join me for dinner? I always have dinner at my desk after everyone leaves for the night. Oh, let's see here we have, oh, black bread, boiled sausage, tea with lemon. Would you care for some? I have plenty to spare. Ooh. I am on first-class rations here. Oh, don't hold out for vodka. I try not to touch the stuff. I am not like a lot of people in my country. I like a clear head when I work. Ooh. La, da, 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 da. Oh, and I am not like a lot of other people in my country in another way. I like to work. Nighttime, that's my second shift. This is when I get the most of my work done. Oh, all day it's meetings and more meetings, paperwork to get through, state commissions to satisfy, and more state commissions. You know, we are supposed to be revolutionaries, but you know what we have become? A nation of bureaucrats. A nation of paper-shuffling, butt-covering bureaucrats. Oh, don't tell anyone I said that. Oh, what the hell, it's on my file already. Apple trees and pear trees were a flower mist was covering the... You don't like my singing? Oh, come on, I always sing when I work. You join me, we'll get going here. Apple trees and pear trees were a flower mist was covering the river. Kayusha went out to the banks, to the high and steep river banks. Kayusha went out to the banks, to the high and steep river banks. You do not sing. You don't know it. Kayusha? Oh, it's a famous Russian folk song. Okay, I will teach you another one, much simpler. Volga Boatman. Everyone knows Volga Boatman. But you have to sing with me. You have to sing the chorus. That's the only way we will get going tonight. Okay, first line of chorus. You sing with me. All together. Sing now. Here we go. All together. Again. All together. Good, that's our first line. Second line. Once again. Sing. Once again. One more time. Ready? One more. Let's put it all together. Here we go. Ready? All together. All together. One more again. One more time. We got it. That's very good. Oh, let's toll till the birch and cudgel bends. Let's bend the cudgel of the curly bush tree. Ah, ah, ah. Let's bend the cudgel of the curly bush tree. Okay, now, you have to imagine that you are all working together to pull the boat upstream as we walk along the shore, singing the chorus. Here we go. Ready? And all together, once again, one more time. Oh, this is a very important song. Lots of Russian history here. Oh, Volga, mother stream, you are so deep and wide. Ah, you are so deep and wide. Last time for the chorus. Here we go. All together, once again, one more time. Oh, that was spirited. Oh, now we can get going. But I need some good, strong black Russian tea after that. Ooh. Do you know the story of the song? Well, it's a very sad story. Actually, most Russian stories are. This tea will keep me going for many hours yet. Strong as one of those Volga boatmen. The nighttime. This is when we really begin to see where we fit into the great scheme of things, don't you think? Look, I don't mean the historical dialectic. I mean the moon. Ah, it's looking very red tonight. That's a good omen, don't you think? A red moon. State commissions in Moscow would like that. Don't you think? Well, tractor production in the Ukraine is important too, I suppose. But just imagine a hammer and sickle planted up there on the moon. Now that is something for the history books. And we shall do it too, I believe this. Well, our General Secretary does not speak about it like your presidents do. Certainly not this new one, this Brezhnev fellow. That's no matter. I speak of it. And I am the one that will make it happen. If they let me. Do you want to see our new model? Huh? Now this is something we can tell all. No, I don't mean your government. I mean my government. This is our new moon rocket. Well, I better just say this is our new rocket. There are people in Moscow that think it's a waste of money if all we want it for is to go to the moon. Missiles aimed at Americans, that's all they care about sometimes. Don't worry. I know that's in my file already. I have told them enough times. It ought to be. I would be disappointed if it weren't. But you want to know something? I did not design this to go to the moon. Do you know where I designed it for? To go to Mars. I merely mean patriotic. They don't call it the Red Planet for nothing. But whatever it's for, this is our new rocket, our N1. In here, there will be 30 engines in the first stage alone. 30! I mean, you Americans, you only have 5 in your Saturn V. Huh? Well, of course, they're bigger, so you don't need as many. But 30 engines, imagine the thrust we can get with that. Enough to break the one law in the universe that really matters, the law of gravity. Now, if I can only get the rubles to test those engines properly, that's what I need. We're going to beat you Americans to the moon. The rubles for testing. You cannot go firing these things off without the proper testing. But no, testing's a waste of money. We could build more missiles instead. Or tractor factories in the Ukraine. You know, this is where our precious rubles are going. Into missiles and tractors and tanks and speaking of rubles, pardon me. Ivan, I have something for you. Ivan. Excuse me. Ivan. Oh, I'm so glad I caught you. You have been putting in some long hours helping figure out the guidance problem, and I want to thank you, Ivan. Here, consider this a bonus. No, don't worry about that. Just take it. No one will know. You know, I will say this about Moscow. They may not give me all the rubles I want, but they don't ask questions about how I spend what they do give me. Not as long as I get results. And Ivan, you have helped me produce results. And besides, I have put you in for a medal too. Now, that will take longer. Lots of paperwork involved in that, comrade. But this will be one of the good ones. Order of Lenin, Hero of Soviet Union, something like that. Now, go home. Your wife misses you, I'm sure. And morning will come before long. Off you go. You know, sometimes a little capitalistic motivation helps. Oh, that thing about the medals? I don't care about medals. Hell, they won't even let me use my own name in Pravda. That was Khrushchev's idea. So what good are medals if I can't wear them? I mean, I would rather have the ruble. No, not for me. The testing. That's what we need. Well, you know, why don't you all just stick around and we can talk? You know, there's not really much work to do tonight because it all depends on whether I can convince Moscow to give me the rubles for the testing. Oh, I will tell you about how I first got interested in aeronautics in the first place. Yes? Oh, this is quite a story. When I was 6 years old, it was announced that a wonderful new invention was going to be demonstrated in my little village in the Ukraine. Do you know what that wonderful invention was? It was an aeroplane. Oh, that was in 1913. My grandfather took me out to see it. It was just 10 years after your Wright brothers. Yes. Well, no one in my village had ever seen an airplane before. We went out to the fairgrounds. There were so many people that the army had to be called out. The army. I mean, that's how crazy it was. I had to sit on my grandfather's shoulders just to see anything. But, oh, I could see it all from up there. The soldiers, they pushed the airplane out into the middle of a field, and they cranked the propeller, and it started spinning around. Oh, everyone thought that was marvelous. Clouds of dust rose up in the air. For 30 minutes, the airplane just sat there, with its propeller spinning around, warming up. Then, the pilot came out. Sergei Utochkin, I think his name was. He was a famous barnstormer in those days. He waved to the crowd. Oh, what a sight that was. People went wild. It was like watching a daredevil at the circus. Half of them thought he was lunatic. The other half, well, they didn't know what to think. Then, the pilot got into the plane and the soldiers grabbed hold of the wings and it started to roll across the field. Slowly at first, and then faster and faster and faster, and finally it went into the air, but then it bounced down. Boom, like that, and then it bounced up, but did not come down. It was in the air, and he flew. Oh, he did not fly far, just over some fields before he came back down. But he flew, no doubt about that. The crowd, they pushed through the soldiers like some kind of crazy mob. Everyone was amazed. This machine, it really flew. It was like magic. That machine flying in the air, oh, like a bird. It was the most wonderful thing to ever happen in my little village of Yancey. From that day forward, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to fly as well. I wanted to fly high, farther than anyone would ever dare to fly. Do you know what the little boys in my village did that night? They went home and dreamed that someday they would be pilots too. But there is one difference between me and them. Do you know what it is? I went home and studied my mathematics. You see, they were fascinated by the pilot. But to me, the real hero was the man who made the machine that made it possible for the pilot to fly. Besides, I loved mathematics. I could count to 1,000,000 by the time I went to school. And that is the difference between dreaming and engineering. Dreaming is, well, dreaming. Engineering is doing. The moon may be a dream for some, but to an engineer it will be an objective, and I am an engineer. And that is why eventually they sent me to the Gulag. Don't look so surprised. Everyone knows I was in Gulag. That was when I was already out of school and working for the Aeronautics Institute in Moscow. They accused me of subversion. Subversion in a new field of technology, they called it. Oh, I was subversive, all right. I wanted to work on liquid-fueled rockets. The program at the time called for work on solid fuels. But the program was wrong. There was more future in liquid fuels, more thrust, more control, more everything. I guess the state does not like it when people go experimenting with powerful explosives without permission. Well, they were fools, of course. They thought I wanted to plot against the authority of man, as if I cared who sat in the Kremlin. I was plotting against something far more sinister. I was plotting ways to rebel against the forces of nature. Try telling that to KGB, though. Well, that is just the way things were in those days. But I did not commit any crime. That is what I told them at my trial. But I did not commit any crime. Do you know what they told me? None of you swine have committed a crime. 10 years hard labor, go. Next. Like I said, that was just the way things were in those days. Oh, I wrote letters, reports, to Stalin, myself, notes. By the fall of '39, there I was, in Coloma, in Siberia. It was terrible, awful. The beatings, the starvation. I lost all my teeth. They just fell out. My jaw, it got broken. I nearly died there. Many others did. Many others. No. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Those were different things. I was only there a year, but it seemed like a lifetime. So, oh, no, I was not released. I was transferred to a sharaga. You know what a sharaga is? Well, it is like a factory in a prison. It was Tupolov's doing for sure. Surely you know Tupolov. Andrei Tupolov, the airplane designer. Oh, he was a great man. He had been one of my teachers, and now he wanted me to be one of his designers. Oh yes, he was in a Sharaska. Like I said, that is just the way things were in these days. It's best not to ask. Eventually, I became chief designer for my design group, group number 5. We worked on jet engines for dive bombers. This was in the Great Patriotic War, what you Americans call World War II. Do you know what else we worked on? Rocket engines. Do you know what kind of fuel we used? Huh? Liquid fuel! Yes, he was paying attention. I guess by then it was not considered subversive technology, huh? In fact, it must have even been considered patriotic. Because not only did they release me, but they made me a full colonel in the Red Army, just like that. And then they sent me to Germany. Oh, the war was over by then, of course, but they wanted me to see the German missiles. Warner von Braun and all his top people had gotten off to your American side. All we had were the German technicians, and our people would interrogate them all day long, and I don't know who to feel sorry for, the poor bastards, or our stenographers. Imagine one of the generals. Are you getting all that down? I don't understand what he's saying, sir. Oh, you don't have to understand it, just copy down. Yes, sir. Back to interrogation, Colonel. Our generals had no idea what they were doing. Or what they were looking at. That was my job, to help them figure out what the Germans had, what they had been up to. the generals would come up to me and say things like, "So, Colonel Lamb, do you understand what this prisoner is saying?" Well, he's saying that the flight path of the missile is a product of thrust and guidance. The more thrust, the further the missile will go, but the possibility that a small error in guidance will send the missile many kilometers off course. So, the two must work hand in hand. Well, this really impressed our German prisoner. Oh, jawohl! That is correct, Herr Colonel. So have a good grasp of the principle. Wunderbar! Well, that was the worst insult of all, to be told by a German. So have a good grasp. Oh, of course I have a good grasp of principle. I was building liquid-fueled rockets before you Germans even thought of using them to make war on your neighbors. I was dreaming of ways to get to Mars before you Germans even realized you could fire one off across the English Channel. I was not brought here on turnip wagon. But please continue. You know, it's true. All the Germans had done was what we could have done. And our generals, well, they had difficulty comprehending even the most elementary principles, let alone the vast possibilities. I mean, they saw